Humans first went into outer space in 1961, and since that time, hundreds have followed. However, many of these astronauts who left Earth's orbit saw or heard things that ordinarily should not have been there. Humans have been asking the question, are we alone, since we first looked up into the heavens. There has been much evidence that we have been visited for hundreds of years. Therefore, it is not surprising that whenever we venture into outer space, they are interested in our progress. Today we'll be taking a look at 5 unexplained astronaut mysteries that might surprise you. Number 5. KnockKnock. Astronaut Yang Lui made history when he became China's first astronaut on October the 16th, 2003, when Yang flew into space aboard the Shenzhou 5 spacecraft. However, he is only now confirming a bizarre incident that occurred to him whilst in space. Yang states hearing a strange knocking sound while on his 21-hour flight, which sounded like a hammer hitting an iron bucket. Yang states, "A non-causal situation I've met in space is a knock that appeared from time to time," said Yang. "It neither came from outside nor inside the spaceship, but sounded like someone is knocking the body of the spaceship, just as knocking an iron bucket with a wooden hammer." Whilst hearing the knocking sound, he would try to find the cause of the noise, but could find nothing. Number 4. Solway Firth Spaceman. On May the 23rd, 1964, Jim Templeton took 3 pictures of his 5-year-old daughter whilst on a day trip to Burgh Marsh overlooking the Solway Firth in Cumbria, England. After getting the photographs developed, he noticed something quite startling. A white figure can be seen in what looks like a spacesuit in the background. Analysts at Kodak confirmed that the photograph was genuine, as Templeton insists that he did not see the figure until after his photographs were developed. The only people around that area on the day of the photograph were a couple of old ladies who didn't see anything unusual. So how can this be possible? In 1964, human spacesuits were in their extreme infancy. Disturbingly, after the photograph was taken, Jim Templeton claimed that he was visited by 2 men who, he says, came from Her Majesty's government. The men tried to make Templeton admit that he had photographed a person, but he refused. Could these men have been men in black? To this day, ufologists have used the photograph as evidence that extraterrestrial life has influenced the modern-day space program, including spacesuits. Number 3. Major Gordon Cooper. On May the 15th, 1963, Major Cooper was shot into space in a Mercury capsule for a 22-orbit journey around the world. It was during this journey, Cooper states, he could see a glowing greenish object ahead of him quickly approaching his capsule. Strangely enough, the UFO was verified as being real and solid, as it was picked up by Mature's radio tracking station in Western Australia. The National Broadcast Company were covering Cooper's mission, and the company also reported the UFO sighting. However, when Major Gordon Cooper landed, reporters were told that they would not be allowed to question him about the UFO sighting. Cooper was already a firm believer in UFOs, as 10 years earlier he witnessed the UFO while flying over Western Germany. Cooper states, "I believe that these extraterrestrial vehicles and their crews are visiting this planet from other planets. Most astronauts were reluctant to discuss UFOs. I did have occasion in 1951 to have 2 days of observation of many flights of them of different sizes flying in fighter formation, generally from east to west over Europe. I can now reveal that every day in the USA our radar instruments capture objects of form and composition unknown to us, and there are thousands of witness reports and a quantity of documents to prove this, but nobody wants to make them public. Why? Because authority is afraid that people may think of God knows what kind of horrible invaders. So the password still is, we have to avoid panic by all means." Number 2. Apollo 11. During many recent interviews, Buzz Aldrin and other astronauts have made a startling revelation that they had seen a UFO during the Apollo 11 mission. They stated that the crew of the famous Apollo 11 mission had seen a UFO on their way to the moon. This was also supported by senior Apollo 11 scientist Dr. David Baker. Aldrin has also made other strange statements that some believe allude to Aldrin knowing more about an extraterrestrial presence.
"I saw this illumination that was moving with respect to the stars. We were smart enough to not say, Houston, there's a light out there that's following us. So technically, it becomes an unidentified flying object.
Number 1. Donald Slayton. Mercury astronaut Donald Slayton revealed in an interview he had witnessed UFOs in 1951. He states, "I was testing a P-51 fighter in Minneapolis when I spotted this object. I was at about 10,000 feet on a nice bright sunny afternoon. I thought the object was a kite. Then I realised that no kite is going to fly that high. As I got closer, it looked like a weather balloon, grey and about 3 feet in diameter. But as soon as I got behind the darn thing, it didn't look like a balloon anymore. It looked like a saucer, a disc. About the same time, I realised that it was suddenly going away from me, and there I was, running at about 300 miles per hour. I tracked it for a little way, and then all of a sudden the damn thing just took off. It pulled about a 45-degree climbing turn and accelerated and just flat disappeared.